So there is one main principle of productivity that I'd like to teach you today, and no one's ever spoke about this before. And that is to just know that you have only a certain mental load, like brain capacity per day, so don't waste it. And what I've wrote here is, imagine it as brain points. Brain points. You have a certain number of brain points allocated to you per day. Don't waste them. So let's say you start off as 60 brain points per day. You've got 60 brain points. You get what I'm saying, right? Brain points or brain XP or mana bar, whatever you want to call it, right? Brain points, BP. You've got 60 BP per day. And pretty much everything you do drains that. Everything you do drains your brain points. So you wake up with 60, and the first thing you do is that you turn off your alarm. Actually, no, I'm sorry. You've got 60 per day. You get woken up by your alarm, and you've lost 10, maybe 20 straight away because of the fact that you woke up unnaturally. You woke up to an alarm clock instead of just like your actual like natural wake up time. So you've got 40 left. And by the way, this is what you use to actually get work done, right? So you've only got 40 left, right? So you're actually at this point, you're like, you deserve to be the special kid who's got like a helmet on. You've got 40 brain points left for the day. It's not doing good. And then the first thing you do after you turn off the alarm, you go through your phone a little bit. Quickly, just, important messages and, and notifications. And literally every second that you're on your phone, or every, 30 seconds that you're on your phone, you're losing a few points. So you started with 60, but then you woke up unnaturally, which, you got to take the L with, because it's kind of hard to wake up naturally that early for work or whatever. You check your phone a little bit. Okay, now you're on 30. Then you maybe go to the toilet. You're still listening to your phone. You check your phone one more time. You're on 28. You indulge in some like deep thoughts that are kind of irrelevant to your work and your productivity. You're on 25. You decide what to wear. You've got 24 brain points left. You're trying to decide what to do right now. That takes quite a lot. That's a big decision. Okay, what should you spend the next few hours doing? Well, you just lost like a 7, so you've got 17 brain points left. Okay, you know what task it is, so that that big task that you want to do that requires 80 brain points, that feels a little bit too daunting. And now we've quantified it. The big task that you want to do per day is like 80 brain points. You've only got 17, and so this is probably why you feel like you can't really do it. So I don't really feel like it. Maybe I'll do it later. So what's the thing that you can do? Check some messages. Check your emails. Oh, Discord notification. Bing, 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 bing. Okay, you've got 12 brain points left. Oh yeah, I know. I'll have some breakfast and then I'll do it afterwards. So, what should I eat for breakfast? What should I eat? 10 left. You see what I'm getting at? You have a certain number of brain points that you start with every day. Big tasks, let's say you take 40, 80, 100, 200. Sometimes there's such a big task that you can't do it in one day. You've experienced this before, right? So whatever you start with, you've got to understand that like a lot of things drain your brain points. But in the end, the only thing that will actually move your life forward in the realm of work is the big important tasks that you've got to conserve your brain points for. And this is the general theme of productivity that I don't think anyone's ever explained it as like in this way. We just want to reserve our brain points for the important tasks. We don't want to lose 5 brain points in the morning by like replying to people when, you could have waited like an hour. We don't want to lose another few brain points every single day, 3 times a day, thinking about what to eat, thinking about when to eat, thinking about what to wear. Just wear a bathrobe every day. Boom. You've just saved like 3 brain points every single day for the rest of your life. Most like there's a funny Andrew Tate video where he says like you're too broke to cook. And like, that seemed to have woken people up. I knew this a little while ago, but like when you get into like the entrepreneur, like the success kind of space online, a lot of entrepreneurs will tell you that you're not rich enough to cook, and genuinely you're not. Unless you're already like a millionaire, you can't afford to cook. People like all the normies on like Reddit think that, oh, they're saving money if they're cooking and stuff. No, because you're losing brain points and you're losing time. It's something that would be hard for me to explain to you till you've experienced this paradigm shift where you're like, oh yeah, my time's actually how I get shit done. And the reason why I'm not successful is simply literally just one reason, is because I don't value my time, because I spend it cooking to save $3 instead of just buying it out compared to the value of the groceries and everything. You lose brain points for cooking, you lose brain points for reading, even productive things. For reading, watching podcasts, for doing work, you lose brain points for watching porn, and especially deciding which porn video to watch, especially when you get to like the 7th page of Pornhub or something, bro. You've lost a fair amount of brain points there. Playing video games especially drains your brain points, and all gamers know this, but a lot of gamers don't like to admit this. When you play games for like an hour or two, think about how much you're actually using your brain. Like, people say like, oh, I'm just playing 1 hour to unwind, just to relax. That's not true. You can say that you like to play video games because it's fun and engaging, but don't ever lie to yourself or to me and say that you like to play video games to relax, because if we did a scan of your brain would not be relaxing. Imagine if we did like an MRI scan or something of your brain. It would not be that your brain's just like quieted down as if you're sleeping, would it? It would be hyper engaged because of the amount of like decisions that you're making to actually be good at this game. So video games drain your brain points at a shocking level. And some guys, unfortunately, they wake up and they play video games like straight away. Like some guy, I mean, they're probably not watching our videos, but some guys wake up and grab their phone and like go on some mobile games straight away. Reserve your brain points for the most important tasks. That's just a general theme that you should try and stick to now and forever. Reserve your brain points for the most important tasks. Now, here is an interesting point. Try to increase your baseline brain points. How many brain points you start with per day. Let's say you start with 50 per day. It would be nice if you instead started with 90 per day, wouldn't it? Can you think of how you would increase how many brain points you have per day? Can you think of what it would be? Your health. You know, you've always heard like, oh yeah, health is the priority. Like every person says that, but no one actually makes it a priority, right? You might think you do, but it's like when you open up the can of worms to realize what affects your health, you realize that you could genuinely be working on your health for like 14 hours a day, right? So everyone says the health is the priority. No one actually treats it like that. But the reason why health should be like close to the top of your list, and you know, it should be something you genuinely really look into, is because the higher your health, like the better your health, the more brain points that you start with per day. So someone who's got depression, anxiety, who's also kind of fat, who's got like poor physical health, poor gut health, he's going to start with like 15 points per day. And think about how he's going to get himself out of that rut now. That's why it's so hard, because when you start with like 10, 20 brain points per day, and it still takes like 10 or 20 to even hit a workout, those guys are screwed. They're in a horrible cycle. So right now, if you're somewhat average, you know, you're like a young guy who doesn't really have any like proper health consequences. You've had, you know, some reasons to go to the doctor in the last few years, but generally you're just like, yeah, whatever. It's like health is the most important thing, but you don't actually treat it like that. You start with like 40, maybe 50, maybe 60 brain points per day. Genuinely. You know why? Just because you've lived like this for a while and you're used to your current state of health does not actually mean that you're healthy. The only like super good way to know if you're healthy is, in my opinion, to actually get data and tests on it. Now, that's anticlimactic because 99% of people will never go get like a health test or, you know, pay for like expensive equipment to test their levels in heart rate and HRV and everything. But the reason why I wouldn't just rely on how you feel is because I felt like I was healthy for a very long time. Literally, I genuinely still, if you asked me if I was healthy when I was 20 years old and I was out drinking twice a week and my diet was terrible, but like I was going to the gym and lifting some weights, I would have been like, yeah, I am healthy. If we tested my statistics then, like, got data on my health, it would have shown that I wasn't. But I would have considered that I was, just because that's how I was living for a while. And it was like, yep, you're just kind of used to it. You don't really, like, most people aren't actually aware that their health isn't that good up until they have like a big health scare. Then you start to realize, oh yeah, I need to improve my health. But for example, there's research that shows that once you've been sleep deprived for a little while, you actually kind of lose sight of it and you start to feel like you have slept enough, even though you're operating at like 20% less of your like effectiveness. And so this, I think, is the same for health just in general. So right now, you don't actually genuinely know if you're healthy or not unless you've actually got like quantifiable data in front of you where you can see like, okay, this is how long I slept for recently. Oh, the last week it's went down, or the last week it's went up, and this is what my genes are like. So when it comes to eating food, I literally know exactly what kind of food is going to be bad for me. Now, pretty much no one's going to go, less than 1% of people are actually going to go to the extent of like finding these things out for themselves. So just kind of keep this in your mind. The healthier you are, the more brain points that you start with per day. And remember those things that you've heard about. Eat cleaner, lower your stress, have less alcohol and drugs, and sleep better. You've always heard these like health things, right? I'm not going to like push them onto you like incredibly heavily here. What I could just recommend is the podcast by Dr. Andrew Huberman. You can search him up on YouTube. Massive podcast. His podcast is pretty much like the science-based techniques on improving your health, and I've learned a lot from him. So what I would do is I'd literally just watch, like fully, don't skip around or anything, of his podcast of a topic that interests you. So that he's got health, he's got testosterone, he's got dopamine, he's got diet and muscle and all these ones, right? And just commit yourself to like watching one fully and really trying to practically improve it. And when you get more into like a specific part of health, so inside of health is your physical health, your gut microbiome, your sleep, your diet, all this stuff, right? When you focus just on one, you realize that there's so much more that you can actually improve on, which is a good thing, because it means that the more you improve, let's say, especially with sleep, the higher you start with your brain points per day, which just means you can just get more done. And of course, you don't want to waste those brain points doing the same things. You want to change the way that, you navigate life. You don't want to be checking your phone first thing in the morning. But just see if you can improve your health. Any improvement to your health will increase how many brain points you start with, which is awesome. And one final thing I mentioned here is that decisions drain your brain points. So remember before I mentioned decision fatigue, that's where if you make a decision, it kind of just like fatigues your brain. And this is where the term 1,000 cuts, death by 1,000 cuts comes from. So decisions, we can just say, drain your brain points. And a fantastic tip that I learned from an entrepreneur called Sam Ovens is that you should think of the half-life of decisions. The half-life is a term that like chemists or physical, like scientists use to kind of explain how long the effect of a substance stays in your body. Just to kind of show, okay, how long does this thing last for, right? You should think to yourself, how long do your decisions last for? And you should try to make decisions that last for longer. So what I mean by this is, imagine you wake up and every single day you need to decide when to eat and also what to eat. Let's say you eat 3 times a day, so you need to decide roughly what times those are. So that's 3 big decisions. And then also another 3 decisions of what to eat. And that's 6 decisions, but trust me, this would be more like 200, honestly, in a realistic scenario of these mini decisions that you'll have. You'll be trying to work and your brain will just randomly just end up thinking like, okay, should I eat at 9:15 or after this task? And literally you'll bounce around literally 100 decisions for both of these that we've just said is just 6, right? But we'll call them 6, but it's probably more like 200. And then you're thinking, and you probably don't believe this just yet, but as you become more aware of this, you'll realize that a decision of like what to eat is actually more like 100 or 200 or 500 decisions in your brain, like these mini little like arguments that you have. Like I go on a walk, right? I've become quite aware of this. Not that I'm like so amazing and whatever, but I think I just, I meditate every day, so maybe that helps. I go on a walk and simply just which little route should I take for my walk, I genuinely think is more than 50 decisions. It's like 50. I hear the debates in my mind of like, if I go there, I can go there, I can go there, and I'll be back at 3:25. But if I go there, I'll be, oh, no, because that thing's there. So I could, you don't realize every single one is draining you. So one thing that we could do, which is really a good idea, is try to make the decisions that will last longer. So instead of trying to think of when to eat every single day, should we eat at this time or this time? Why not just set in stone the times that you will eat and add it to your calendar, your timetable? So that you make one decision today, which will take like an hour of, okay, what time should I eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, if you're going to eat 3 meals a day for the rest of my life? Which I know seems a little bit unrealistic. Of course, there's going to be days you're traveling and stuff, fine. But like, you could make this one decision right now that would last a very long time, and it's like just checked off in your brain so that tomorrow you just follow the plan. Okay, you said from now on you're gonna have breakfast at 9, lunch at this time, dinner at this time, let's make it happen. And the same thing with your food. You literally like go through the day trying to think of what to eat, which is just a huge drain of your brain points and you know, your ability to focus on work. I know this seems weird for me to say when, like, you know, you probably clicked on wondering if when I'm going to tell you about the Pomodoro technique. Bro, I'm not going to tell you about the Pomodoro technique. Most like modern day new inventions for productivity aren't actually that good. The reason why you can't do the work is literally because you spend time thinking about what to eat in the day. I promise you. And there's a few more things I'll say in this. I'm going to give you a few tips that you can genuinely do tomorrow, and I guarantee that you will do 3 times more work tomorrow if you use at least 1 or 2 of these compared to any Pomodoro technique cool little app that you can download or anything like that. These are like the real things, but they're the unsexy answer because you genuinely have to change something in your life rather than just download like the forest, you know, those apps that people get where it's like, oh, but if you click, okay, I'm going to do the work now, and it says 25 minutes, okay, so I'll do the work for 25 minutes, and look, there's a tree on this app now, and I can plant the tree, and it's gamified. Wow. It's like, bro, that's doing nothing. That's doing nothing to you. You've got a carb crash right now. You slept like 5 hours yesterday. You woke up and you checked your phone this morning. What are you on about with this little forest app? What's that going to do for you? And by the way, you've got to pay for the little forest app. It's like $2.99. I can't afford that anyway. So the Half-Life, for example, then with what to eat, it would be awesome if you could literally just say to yourself, okay, this is what I'll eat for breakfast every day from now on. And again, you'll change your plan every now and then, and I'm sure you'll probably change it 3 months from now. But that one decision will carry you, let's say, for 3 months, compared to just trying to think what you're going to eat tomorrow. So I do exactly what that entrepreneur I mentioned, Sam Ovens, he mentioned this years ago, was that he got a meal prep service that would send him his meals, and it's already like kind of set out for him, so he never has to think of what to eat again because he literally gets given like kind of cooked meals that he just has to heat up. And I do the exact same thing now, so I don't even cook. I literally get this company which is based in the UK. It's called Fuel Hub. I'm not like affiliated or anything, but like literally they'll send me a bunch of meals, I'll put them in my fridge, and then when it's time to eat at 9, 1:30 and 5 p.m, like those are my 3 eating times, I'll literally just go to the fridge, open it up, choose one of the boxes, like not even look at which one it is, put it in the oven for 20 minutes and it's done. No thinking at all, no real cooking. It's just like you can heat it up. You can heat it up in the microwave, but I'm not sure if that's like healthy. I feel like maybe we'll realize that microwave is actually like a very unhealthy way to cook food because it's like so weirdly artificial. I don't know, but I'd put mine in the oven, which is fine because it's literally you just put it in the oven, do the thing, boom, hey Siri, set on the timer for 20 minutes, and then you just go like do some more work or something. When you make a decision like this and you've just set in stone of how you will eat from now on, what you'll wear, you don't realize how much this will actually do for your productivity. Think about why I would spend so much of this video telling you about these weird tactics when I could have just clickbaited it and actually made you feel happy by telling you another like 3 little fast work tips. Trust me when I say it's these random things of like the fact that you think about what to eat, which is actually a big cause of the reason why you don't get much work done in the day. Because you need to dedicate as much of your brain power as possible to your work. And this is why you genuinely, this is a cliche thing to mention, but you see so often really successful, really rich guys dressed so like plainly. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, you see this very often, don't you? They're literally always wearing the same things. You can tell that they'll probably eat roughly the same things every day. They have a very simple life where they don't need to think or make many decisions so that they've got more of their brain points for their work.